Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to this session of IRMAN Talks. Today's speaker is Mangesh sir from PRM 27, and today's moderator will be Archana ma'am from PRM 24. And today's topic is World of Reinsurance. So this session will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So please be mindful of that, and I request you all to please mute yourself and enjoy this session. Towards the end, we will have question and answer session. For now, uh, Archana ma'am, please you can continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Krishna. Hello, everyone. Hi, Mangesh.
Hello, Professor Archana.
Nice to see you.
Likewise, nice meeting you as well. E-meeting you.
E-meeting, yes. So before we start, my thanks to IRMA Alumni Association and organizers of IRMAN Talks. So it's honor and pleasure to moderate this talk, especially with a person like Mangesh. Um, yeah, Mangesh.
Likewise, it's an honor for me to be here. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for the invitation. Special thanks to Krishna and Ritesh ji for toiling hard and setting up this particular event. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my thanks to Krishna and Ritesh sir as well for guiding us and yes, of course, organizing this. So shall we start?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes, Mangesh. So talking with Irman, let's start with your life at Irma. So give us some glimpse on your time at Irma and how it specially shaped your approach towards development and then risk and then your career, which today you are established in reinsurance.
Sure. Happy to do that. Quite excited to share my thoughts on these topics. I think if you see, before joining IRMA, I spent most of my life in and around Mumbai. So, despite of my urban roots, obviously some basic sensitivity towards rural topics did exist. But I felt that IRMA in a way gave a very structured exposure towards the challenges that the rural people face, issues that we see in rural economy. I could see them bit in a more disciplined fashion. It was more of an experiment for me, frankly, my life in IRMA. But yeah, I think quite a few things that sort of shaped up my future career. And, one of the first things that I remember is the village fieldwork, where we had this thematic study where we had to sort of, choose a topic of relevance to those local areas where we were stationed, and we chose impact of excess rainfall on crops,
That was
because
quite
that
early
year,
talking
yeah,
about,
exactly, this was in 2006, and
yeah.
that year particularly, the place where I was stationed in Marathwada region of Maharashtra, and that year Marathwada is actually known more for droughts.
Yes,
That
yes.
particular year we had tremendous rains, and that actually impacted the grain crops as well as the horticulture crops. And we thought this was really the sort of topic that people were talking about
Mhm.
uh, in that area, and we felt that we should pick this up. And we studied that a little bit further. And thankfully, the professors in IRMA, despite of all the scientific limitations that that study had, they encouraged us, to delve a bit deeper on this topic. Then came OTS, where I was stationed in Baramati Dairy, and there the project was more related to understanding of the sort of additional packages that could be designed for farmers, focusing more on the health aspects of cattle.
Okay. Mhm. So their crop, and here you are talking about cattle. Hello, Mangesh. Krishna, have we lost Mangesh? Is there any connectivity problem?
I think he's still there, but maybe some internet issues.
Okay. So we'll wait a while till Mangesh joins. Mangesh has joined. He's there, but I can't hear anything from him. Are others here able to hear
My
Mangesh?
apologies. I think some issue with my network. I
Okay.
thought this
Okay,
used
yeah,
to happen only in the COVID times, but no.
no problem. Yes.
I don't know where you stopped hearing me. If you can help me a little
Yeah.
bit.
So you're talking about your MTS times.
Perfect. I think after BD cooperative related sort of stint, we had this MTS as well, MTS study, where
Right.
I studied in one of the remote tribal villages near Sardar Sarovar project. And again, a very good understanding about the health issues of the tribal population, the kind of economy that they had. In January 2007, I guess, we had made a presentation for one of the contests in IIM Ahmedabad,
Okay.
which was organized by NABARD, and that was more focused on how to make the agri banking portfolio resilient. And again, very, very primitive sort of concepts from our side, but there was quite a bit of an encouragement from IRMA. And I think that really helped me in, sort of making my career choice. Moreover, I think not to forget a lot of focus on stats related topics,
Mm-hmm.
which also helped. Uh, because I think before IRMA, my sort of exposure to statistics related concepts was fairly limited. So that
Right.
also helped in a way to choose a more quantitative sort of area in my career. So things kept on clicking, but that's how the journey shaped up, I would say.
Yeah, so while you are saying that it was quite primitive, I understand that because that was a time when this concept was just introduced in India and it was just building up.
Yeah,
So that way it was contextual. So what you are saying, I also get that being sound in quantitative also plays an important role in being in this
yeah,
profession.
yeah,
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 right. And so you joined IFMR and then moved to Swiss Re and Munich Re. So can you
yeah.
please walk us through about your career transition and your milestones, and then finally you landed into reinsurance with Munich Re. So especially when we talk about Airman's reinsurance doesn't look like a obvious career choice when you are in the campus. You don't know about reinsurance, and then you are there. So please talk about that and enlighten us about that.
Sure. I think my IRMA placement interview was quite unique. It
Okay.
lasted for about 7 hours, if I'm not wrong. I
Oops,
desperately wanted,
full hours.
yes, I
Oh my
desperately
God.
wanted to do something more on quant side. And I think that time typically we had banks, insurance companies approaching IRMA for the placement when it
Okay.
came to the commercial sector.
Mhm.
Um I think that it's something which I never wanted to or aspired to sort of pursue. That time, IFMR had come down to the campus for placement, and I
Okay.
ultimately landed in the Center for Insurance and Risk Management, which was a small center inside IFMR ecosystem.
Right.
Uh, I think that was purely because they offered something related to the quants aspect, sets related topics. And
Mhm.
after a couple of years there, I enrolled myself in ILO's microinsurance fellowship program, where a
Yes.
few of the other IRMANs had also gone in subsequent years. My project was in Philippines. It was very thrilling, southern part of Philippines, uh, quite a uh, quite a few hundred kilometers away from Manila, so very remote sort of place. I
Okay.
think towards the end of the fellowship, somewhere in 2011, I had two choices to make. One, to pursue something in the development sector, uh, which could give me, opportunities to work in the technical assistance related topic, um, or take a leap of faith and get into a proper commercial sector through, let's say, a reinsurance. Uh,
Yeah.
I think pace of working as a reinsurer is usually a bit slower as against, let's say, an insurance company. And that's something which I felt that was more suitable for my personality. And I was always fascinated by that. And from that angle, I chose reinsurance as my sort of next step of the career. Now, if you ask me, I think last 14 years of the stint at two different reinsurance companies, very rewarding, very satisfying. Got an opportunity to work with few of the smartest reinsurance colleagues, insurance companies, brokers, also government entities, some of the multilateral agencies as well, like UN, World Bank, etc. In some cases, I could work on policy making aspects as well, and in some cases, I could sort of co-create new products, and that journey has been quite satisfying for me.
Yeah. So that way you have been an early starter in reinsurance, especially agri reinsurance in India, isn't it?
Sort of,
Yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
Yeah,
So for our audience, I would request you to sort of demystify what reinsurance is,
sure.
and especially about uh, concept of reinsurance and how it's different from insurance, and how does the global market look like? How does it operate?
Sure. I think although it might appear like a very remote sector, very abstract sector, it is not. To my knowledge, close to about seven IRMANs are
Okay.
currently working in reinsurance industry as either a reinsurer or a reinsurance broker.
Right.
So it's not very
Interesting.
abstract. I think a lot of
Hmm.
IRMANs are there in this sector.
Yeah.
Uh, if you sort of want to understand what reinsurance is, it's more like insurance for an insurance company. Think of it more like a wholesale insurer which takes part or stakes in portfolios written by individual insurance companies. And whatever way the stakes are designed, it pays the insurance company in case of a claim. Uh,
So
it's
that
a
way it's a insurer for insurance companies.
precise,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
It's an extremely capital intensive business, I would say. And it has actually, it's not new. So it's that this whole industry is not new. It
Okay.
started close to about 6 to 7 centuries earlier in Europe, where marine trade at that point of time was considered to be very risky, and people wanted a very good capital backup, and they felt that insurance and reinsurance could be the way.
So I
So
have a
this
curious
really,
question here. Sorry to
yeah, sure, sure.
stop you. So I'm aware about how insurance started with marine. So does reinsurance also time back to the
Yeah,
same time
it did.
horizon?
It did. It did. I think
Okay.
somewhat similar time horizon, and I think
Okay.
marine was really the topic at that point of time, which
Mhm.
moved the needle for many of the countries. I
Mhm.
think even simple things like East India Company and all. I think they were all in a way traders who had to bank upon the marine sort of business, and that way I think they were perhaps the first few buyers of marine insurance slash reinsurance, in my opinion.
Right.
Slowly, I think we have seen that this whole business or concept of insurance and reinsurance has gone to other continents. I think uh, reinsurance providers have started appreciating that it is better to have geographical diversification. It is better to have business line specific diversification. For example, there are quite a few reinsurers, like let's say Munich Re, where I work.
Right.
We are there in several types of businesses, not only agriculture. We are there in motor, health, property, marine, aviation, etc. So
Right.
these
So
are
this diversification happens both across business lines as well as geographies.
exact. It
Right.
does, and I think that helps in stabilizing the volatility of the reinsurance company itself.
Reinsurance company, yes. So
Because
the basic, it
reinsurance,
follows the same basic principle of
yes,
insurance of diversification there also.
exact law of large numbers and
Yes.
diversification. These are the same principles, but
Right.
reinsurers being the last resort in a way,
Mhm.
they have to really work preferably on a global scale, and that's what many of the reinsurance companies do. Although there are smaller reinsurers who have emerged over the years, who have limited capital, they might take help of the bigger reinsurance companies through something called retrocession, where they take reinsurance for reinsurance or insurance for reinsurance in a way, right? So that's another sort of piece in the value chain. In fact, one of my friends has been associated lately with setting up an agro focused sort of company where uh, you know uh, idea is to sort of provide agriculture reinsurance, dedicated agriculture reinsurance to
Okay.
the farmers.
Mhm.
So I mean these things could be designed based on the appetite of the investors of that reinsurance companies, and there could be many ways of how a reinsurer can operate. There are a lot of governments as well who have set up their own reinsurance companies. For example, in India, the Indian government has something called GIC,
Yes.
right? So
Right.
there are such national carriers as well. Again, it's a very capital intensive business. You need a lot of investment, and government could be one of the investors as
Right. Right. Right.
well.
So as an outsider and as an academician, I get a point of view like reinsurers are big bosses of insurance.
Sort of, sort of. You may say so. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
now we'll come to drill down to reinsurance landscape in India. So
yeah.
especially in agriculture. So how did agriculture insurance evolve in India, and how does it compare globally?
I think before we talk about, let's say, agriculture reinsurance, let's try understanding how the reinsurance sector itself has evolved in India. I
Evolve.
mean,
Right.
irrespective of the line of the business.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, I think we have had very protective policies around reinsurance business a few years back.
Yes.
Uh, but international reinsurers have been present for more than 100 years in India. So they have
In
been
India as
providing,
well. Okay. Okay.
yeah, they have
So
been providing reinsurance solutions to insurance companies
okay.
even
So
before the
even at
national.
time of before IRDAI and
Absolutely.
opening of the market, they were there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Even before opening of the market, even before the nationalization of the four insurance companies, we had reinsurers in
Okay.
different forms. I think I have heard stories where people used to come by ship to Mumbai port. They would
Okay.
sit their so-called small temporary office
Okay.
in one of the hotels near the port, near Gateway
Okay.
of India, and
Okay.
they would, sign contracts and they would go back. There
Oh,
are
so it
such
sounds
stories
like the
as well.
same European story when the mariners started marine
Exactly,
insurance. Okay,
exactly,
very
exactly,
interesting.
exactly.
Mm.
It, I think this whole sector started liberalizing slowly, and
Okay.
somewhere around 2017, this whole concept of foreign reinsurance branches came in, where IRD allowed foreign reinsurers like Munich Re to set up their branch properly in
Right.
India. Before that, they were present, although bit partly through service offices. But if you have a branch, it has its own connotation, because then you have to put some capital, you have to, of course, abide with the rules of the regulators and so on. I think that did happen very
Hmm.
slowly. Munich Re was rather the first global reinsurer uh, became which got the branch license by from IRD. And about 4 years after that, in Gift City, this concept emerged of International Financial Services Center, and that is again, a new sort of setup where the government of India has been trying to attract more reinsurance companies in India.
Okay.
At the moment, there are close to 300 reinsurance companies which are sort of, in a way, registered to do business in India.
Oh, that's a
They
big
may or
number.
may not do. Yeah, that's a very big number. I mean, if you compare that with, let's say, 30-35 insurers in the general insurance industry and 30-35 insurers in life insurance industry, that number is quite huge. They are there in life insurance as well, health insurance as well. Again, the various reinsurance companies have their own appetites defined, and they play in different zones, I would say. Now, as far as agri sector is concerned, if you see the the current PMABY scheme, which is prevalent in many of the states in India, that had its own predecessors, and I won't go back too long, but NAIS was one of the major schemes,
Right.
uh, National Agriculture Insurance Scheme,
Insurance.
where most of the volatility of the products, or rather the high claim ratio of the products, was handled by government of India. And that was more like a protected cover where reinsurers were not required. But then the government of India started liberalizing the agriculture insurance sector, and they asked the commercial insurance companies to take charge of the products and take care of their own volatility as well. So we had modified National Agricultural Insurance Scheme, then weather-based crop insurance scheme, then PMFBY lately. In all these products, the expectation is that if there is a high claim ratio, you have to take care of that through your own balance sheet,
Right.
and that makes reinsurance as an extremely sort of important topic of the sector. There comes the role of the reinsurance companies, I would say.
Right, right. So we have been a quick question about reinsurance. So we have been we listen quite often about this foreign direct investment in insurance. How does it
Yeah.
apply to reinsurance market?
Sorry, foreign.
Direct investment FDI in insurance, we talk about government is is making
Yeah.
100%, and so how is the same thing applicable to reinsurance also? How
That's
does
a
it work there?
that's a great question. That's a great question. Actually, it's very different in the reinsurance world. Uh, if I ask you, how many Indian insurers do you really know? Reinsurers do you know? Really?
I know only
We
about
just
GI
have,
Siri.
correct. We just have GICRE, which is basically the nationalized sort of reinsurance company, although they have a few shares on the stock markets trading. But
Yes.
yeah, it's more like government backed sort of reinsurance company. And lately there was one more reinsurance company, private reinsurance company, which was allowed to be set up in India very recently, about 2 months back, 3 months
and
back.
recently AIC also started their reinsurance operations, kind of.
Correct. So a lot of insurance companies also sort of operate uh, in that reinsurance related zone. But if you ask me about proper reinsurance company, we just have two at the moment as far as Indian reinsurers are concerned. Most of the other insurance companies that you see, they are usually wholly owned by a foreign entity. So, for example, the branches that you see in India, foreign reinsurance branches, uh, those are sort of branches of their head offices, which means
Okay.
100% stakes from uh, and from a foreign partner in a way. So there is no
Okay.
concept of JV that I have seen
JV, yeah.
in among the Indian reinsurance
Indian
companies.
insurance.
Yeah,
Okay. That's interesting. So yeah, again a small quick random question. So we
yeah,
know role of brokers into insurance.
yeah,
I have also
yeah.
heard that there are heavyweight brokers of reinsurance. So
Indeed,
talk something about that.
indeed. I think that's again a very evolving space uh, where you have these intermediaries, brokers, which place the business of the insurance companies with various reinsurance companies. In fact, there are a few brokers who have set up their offices in India as well. There are some brokers who might have their partners in these sort of other companies, uh,
Okay.
uh, other local sort of broking companies. But yes, I think brokers are also an important part of the value chain, and in many of the cases, they try bridging the gap between the insurance company and the reinsurance company.
Right.
Particularly if the reinsurance company is not situated in India, because not every reinsurer has its own office in India. So
Okay.
brokers sort of play that sort of
So
part as a bridge
yeah, so
uh,
reinsurance
between the
companies.
insurance companies.
Sorry, sorry to intervene.
Yeah,
So reinsurers, without having their office in India, they can carry business of
they can
India.
do that. They can do that
Okay.
provided they have intimated IRDA. I mean, there is some sort of process for
Okay.
that, but they have to
Okay.
get registered with IRDA first.
Right. Okay, nice. So now I'll come to the importance of reinsurance in developing agriculture sector. So talk something about that. What kind of risks does it cover in when it comes to agriculture, and what role it plays in overall development of agriculture sector in India?
So I think agriculture in general is a very fragile and volatile line of business.
Yes, and very
Uh,
complex also. The risks are
Very
very
complex.
complex.
Exactly. Uh, Drought is a big issue for a
Yeah.
country like India, where you have just 50% of the land under irrigation. But not only in
Yes.
India, if you ask me, we had very recently drought in Brazil about 4 years back, I think in 2021,
Okay.
uh, which was a very rare occurrence. And that impacted the agriculture insurance companies like anything. And that
Okay.
actually impacted agriculture reinsurers as well. There were
Right.
several reinsurance companies which sort of had to pay more than $100 million of claims each.
Mhm.
So this was one of the biggest events as far as drought peril is concerned. And if you ask me, California as well had actually a drought between 2011 to 2017. We
Mhm.
have had cyclones. Let's say in South Korea, somewhere in 2012, we had a very big cyclone called Cyclone Bulawin, which impacted the horticulture crops like apples, pears, etc.
Mhm.
So these are the events which keep the agriculture productivity very volatile. We have,
Mhm.
at least in India, we see floods, cyclones, we have hailstorms,
Mhm.
temperature fluctuations, very big
Right.
topic. We had
Yes.
pest attacks. If you recall, somewhere around COVID time, we had this big pest attack somewhere on the border of
Right.
Pakistan, where
Yes.
Rajasthan government had to take quite a few steps. to avoid that pest attack. I think that's something which again, underscores the importance of having some sort of fallback mechanism like insurance to
Yes.
protect the agriculture productivity. If we talk about aquaculture, let's say, white spot disease is another topic which keeps the production very volatile. If we talk about cattle business, we have lumpy skin disease, which I think occurred about 3-4 years back in India, and that impacted the farmers quite adversely. Generally speaking, because of these volatilities in the agriculture insurance business, the capital requirement remains quite high because the
Hmm.
potential of loss is very high.
Right.
Obviously, insurers need a very strong support and some sort of risk sharing mechanism. And there comes the role of reinsurance. I think.
Right. So if I have to summarize it, uh, for stabilizing farm income, you need agriculture insurance, and to stabilize agriculture insurance, you need reinsurance, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So there is a question asked by Chidambaram. Shall I take it here? It looks quite
Yeah, yeah,
relevant
please.
for now.
No, no, please, please.
So yeah. So sir, would you like to ask this question yourself, or shall I read it out?
Okay, you can read it out, no problem.
Okay, sir. So the question is, how do the Indian reinsurance companies compete with the foreign reinsurance companies, and how fierce is the competition? Give examples from agriculture sector, agriculture insurance.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
question.
sure. I would start with a bit of a cheeky response stating that the foreign reinsurance companies who have their branches in India, they are as Indian as they can. So,
Okay.
so let's talk about the question in a bit of a sort of broad fashion. Indian government has taken steps to recognize the investments of the local players in reinsurance business, um, local and foreign players who have set up their branches in India in reinsurance. I think they are treated slightly separate. So there is something called order of preference, which goes where the insurance companies have to sort of prioritize the local players first when it comes to the placement. It's not that it is not market linked. If the insurance companies are able to get better terms from the uh, reinsurance companies sitting outside India, uh, they are welcome to do that. But they are encouraged first to approach the local players. That sort of helps encouraging more and more insurance companies to set up their offices in India, and that's really the vision. I think the Gift City initiative that I mentioned earlier, that is another initiative where there are certain taxation related benefits which are given to the insurance companies if they are setting up their shops here. Uh, that said, the agriculture insurance business remains extremely competitive. Uh, I think a lot of insurance companies uh, enjoy quite a good sort of network with different reinsurance companies, different reinsurance brokers, and thereby they can get extremely competitive terms. The business is not uh, easy, although it remains quite technical. The entry barriers are still a bit high, but yet the business is extremely competitive, I would say.
Right. So apart from paying claims, what other roles reinsurers play in market development, product innovation, and building resilience, so to say?
Yeah, I think that's again a very good question because when I say that a reinsurance company is more like an insurer for insurance company, does the role end there? I would say no. Uh, I think reinsurance companies have been at the forefront of product development,
Right.
risk modeling practices, because again they see quite a few risks which, let's say, an insurer in India might not see at all. So risk
Yes.
modeling is another thing which
So
they
having
don't
this
do.
international exposure helps them a lot
Exactly.
to
Precisely.
contextualize everything to Indian market.
Precisely.
Right. Right.
Then, of course, general knowledge sharing that they can do, cross pollinating their sort of learnings from other markets or other lines of businesses. I think that is something which they do quite regularly, quite often. Policy advocacy is another topic where reinsurance companies have made a huge impact. Uh, Two examples I would like to take. One is agriculture insurance, where Government of India, while setting up PMFBY scheme, uh, had sought quite a few consultations from reinsurance companies. Uh, there was this actuarial committee where I was a part of that committee, and the committee was more focused on sort of developing new types of insurance products for agriculture in India. Um, if you talk about other sectors, for example, we have credit related sector, guarantee related sector, and other things. There as well, I think the Indian government has sought quite a few consultations from the insurance companies. Government of Philippines had been trying to set up an agriculture insurance product, a more commercial product in that country, and they had sought some sort of help from reinsurers a few years back. So these are the things which I think reinsurance companies keep on doing, although that whole process might remain quite silent. But yet, I would say that requires quite a bit of understanding of the risk. And that's something which the reinsurance companies are usually very happy to impart because that helps them in building the market as well.
Right, right. So correct me if I'm wrong. That if I compare it with development sector, how funding agencies set the tone of what is going to happen in development sector. The same way, reinsurers also set up the tone for the risk, future risk that they are going to cover in a market.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
so you talked about PMFBY. So, impact of PMFBY on Indian insurance market has been very visible.
Yeah.
PMFBY, crop insurance being the one of the negligible business lines, today it become the third largest,
Correct.
and we are
Correct.
hoping that it will become second largest soon. How has been the impact of PMFBY scheme, government intervention, on reinsurance market in India?
I think it has been tremendous. Reinsurance companies and insurance companies have sort of uh, cooperated a lot over the last 9 years uh, to keep this scheme evolving, to make this scheme better and better every year.
Right.
Um, Particularly the locally based reinsurance companies have helped a lot in sort of making the insurance companies understand a bit more about the modeling aspects, about the claim management, digitization aspects, and so on. Also, the consultations that I was referring to in the earlier question with the governments, uh, government of India, some of the state governments, they have sought help from reinsurance companies. And I think reinsurance companies have definitely imparted a lot of knowledge around these topics. And not only PMABU, I think lately there have been lot of efforts to revive the livestock insurance scheme
Right.
uh, on the same scale like PMABY. And there as well, I think a lot of reinsurance companies have been helping insurance companies as well as the government of India.
Right, right, right. So, if we have to talk about what are the top challenges that agri reinsurance faces in India and this and similar kind of developing markets today, and now we know the impact of climate change on agriculture and of course on insurance sector. So when we have to talk about this climate change, how it's reshaping the risk landscape in agriculture reinsurance, especially in India and similar markets.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the key challenge, I would say one is data quality, which used to be a very, very big challenge. I think things are improving a lot. over the last few years, state governments as well as the central governments have taken a lot of steps to sort of clean up uh, the system. They have sort of come up with better yield data sets. Uh, as far as weather data is concerned, basis risk remains a big topic where the product design has its own limitation, the way in which it is implemented on ground. Let's say you have a weather station which is far away from the farmer's field, and if you are selling a weather index based policy to the farmer, uh, the claim experience of the farmer vis-a-vis the claim that you actually distribute through the policy could be very different.
Right.
And this remains a very big topic. I think again on this topic, the state government as well as the government of India, they have taken a lot of steps to increase the granularity of the weather stations, intensity of the weather stations. Um, State government support has been crucial. Central government support has been also crucial when it comes to the affordability of the product. And unfortunately, in some of the cases, we have seen the state government support fluctuating a bit, and
Mhm.
that remains one of the challenges for the industry.
Right.
GST is another topic. I
Mhm.
think for scheme business, although GST is waived off,
Mhm.
for most of the other non-scheme rural insurance products, we do not have that waiver, and that makes the product bit unaffordable. So that is another challenge because farmers have to shell out 18% extra
Right.
over and above the gross premium value, and that's another topic where a lot of deliberations are going on, but so far no respite on this. Climate change has, of course, questioned the traditional knowledge of the risk in a way. The frequency, severity of the floods is increasing. You might have seen tremendous floods in the year of 2019, particularly in central India. Monsoon dates have been very erratic. Uh, this year is a great example, 2025 monsoon. It arrived in Maharashtra somewhere in mid-May. uh, I think I have seen only perhaps one instance, maybe in my childhood, where such sort of thing had occurred. But I don't otherwise recall
Mhm.
monsoon arriving so early in Maharashtra.
Yes.
Uh, Excess rains towards the end of the cropping season, they are getting very common towards the harvesting sort of season of Kharif. Um, Heat waves are again very common. So maximum temperature has kept on increasing, and that's again in a way is related to the climate change aspect. That actually keeps us on the toes. Our traditional know-how about the risk is changing a lot. That is getting challenged a lot, I would say.
Right, right. So, are there technological innovations that are happening and partnerships, especially public-private partnerships that are evolving, that gives you hope in dealing with these challenges? These challenges are quite huge if we look at the financial implications for insurance and reinsurance companies. So, what kind of things you see happening there?
I think a lot of insurtech and agri-tech companies have recognized that this is more of a knowledge gap where you can do path-breaking work. There's a lot of promise that I see from such companies. They have also collaborated with state governments as well as central governments. They're working together to increase the monitoring infrastructure. You have yield modeling related infrastructure as well, which is sort of coming up, which is provided by a lot of people who understand how satellite data could be crunched, how yield models could be sort of prepared. Farmers themselves are getting very savvy technologically. They are using smartphones. Their view towards agriculture is getting more and more commercial. They don't mind sharing data. I think that actually paves way for more and more crowdsourcing related models
Right.
in India. And that's happening I mean, not only in India, across the world, I would say. In many of the developing countries, we see these trends.
Yes. So we have consumed 45 minutes. So if you allow and organizers allow, I still have few interesting questions to ask. So can we extend it by next 15 minutes?
I'm okay.
Yes. So, Ritesh, Krishna, can we go
Yes,
ahead?
yes, yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. So, before going to the next question, one quick question, Mangesh. So, I have seen that insurance companies get impacted a lot by change in regulation in India.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what is the sensitivity of reinsurance in India to the regulatory changes in
Is
India?
the same. Is the same.
Is the same.
If you ask me, principally, reinsurance companies are considered more of an insurance company, right?
Ah,
Just like an wholesale
right, right.
wholesale insurance company. And from that angle, I think they are subjected to similar sort of regulation fluctuations.
Okay.
Although I would say a lot of these regulations do make sense. Uh, some of the things that you see are actually evolving. I mean, the sector itself. Let's appreciate that the sector itself is very very young, very very nascent sort of in nature. Reinsurance itself started evolving in 2017. I mean, if you talk about branch related regulation. So
Right.
from that angle, the sector itself is very young, and let's give some time to the regulator as well as government of India, particularly finance ministry and other ministries involved in this,
Right.
uh, to shape up the course of the sector. I think they are in the right path, But of course, in the initial few years, you will have these teething issues for sure.
Right. Okay. So, how do you see the future of reinsurance and agriculture risk management? So, where do you see where the biggest opportunity is going to come, especially for creating impact?
I think the way in which the data is sourced, when it comes to, let's say, satellite data, when it comes to weather data,
It seems light is gone in Mumbai. So let's wait. Meanwhile, if anyone has any question, I'll try to record it, or if I can answer on myself, I'll be happy to do that till Mangesh comes back. Any questions from the audience?
I think there is one question in the chat box. Can you see that?
Okay. Let me see. Okay. This question by Shubhashish Runaya. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I missed this question. With capital becoming relatively cheap in current market, how easy or difficult you would say is to establish new reinsurance companies and scale them? Wow. This is a question that I guess Mangesh would like to answer. So on my part, looks like Mangesh is back. Mangesh, are you back? Oh, Chidambaram, it's you. So okay, I'll try to answer that to the extent I can. So this, capital, like Mangesh kept on saying repeatedly that capital is very important part of reinsurance business. So yes, as capital becomes cheaper, so obviously availability of capital will facilitate establishing new businesses, reinsurance companies, and scaling them. At the same time, uh, like insurance, reinsurance business is equally complex. So, though capital is very important, there are so many other considerations also uh, uh, which facilitates or creates an entry barrier for setting up reinsurance companies and reinsurance business. But yes, definitely cheaper capital will make one of the factors easier for setting up the company. I hope I have answered this question. And once Mangesh comes back, I'll ask the same question to him as well. Any other question? Or anyone wants to add, talk? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Actually, I wanted to ask
Huh.
the role of the state governments.
Yes.
Is very important. So
Role of state government. After that, I lost your voice, sir.
state government is very important in
Yes.
terms of this insurance. So which are
Yes,
the
sir. Your
state
voice is
governments?
not clear. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes. Better. Much better.
Okay. Okay. So which are the state governments which are taking active actions? Because if this sector improves, it's basically it can improve the agriculture very much, agriculture as well as livestock sector. So which are the state governments which are taking proactive actions or innovative actions to improve this sector?
Sector. You're talking
So
about agriculture insurance sector
agriculture and livestock, both.
and livestock.
So
Okay.
livestock. So which governments is taking, and what are the different things that particularly the innovative government they have done, which can
Okay.
Sorry,
be
I'm back.
copied in other places.
Okay. Yeah. Mangesh is back.
Very sorry for that.
And no problem. So we have got two questions parked for you.
Sure.
I tried to address the first question that is in comment. Which
Thanks for that.
capital with capital becoming relatively cheap in current markets, how easy or difficult you would say is to establish new reinsurance companies and scale them?
It's an extremely tricky business, I would say. I think, as I said, it has been a very capital intensive business. Only a few reinsurance companies have been able to successfully sort of start a proper reinsurance business in a
Right.
sustainable fashion
Mhm.
uh, without investing too much of capital, because ultimately capital is the thing that decides what you are going to offer when you sit across the table with an insurance company during
Right.
negotiations. So that remains a very big topic. If you have the bigger capital, I think your chances of surviving in this business remain very high. So
Yes.
I would keep it very broad, but I think it remains a very capital intensive business, I would say.
Yes, yes. The second question Chidambaram sir asked was that role of state government company. Sir, would you like to ask question or should I rephrase?
Yeah. Okay, no problem. I can tell him also.
Yeah. Yes.
The role of the state government in terms of this improving the insurance sector is very important. So, which government? Because there are various state governments which are taking proactive actions. Different state governments. So, which are the governments which are taking proactive actions in terms of crop as well as the livestock insurance, which can be duplicated in other places?
I think one of the examples that I can think of is a bit of an innovation that state of West Bengal wanted to try. What they did, they actually set up a technology-based crop insurance scheme a few years back. The idea was to minimize the human interventions when it comes to the yield measurement and other things, claim settlement. I think from that angle, the government of West Bengal has tried a lot to bring in a lot of innovations in this sector. We have also seen very similar efforts from government of India through an initiative called Yes Tech, yield estimation sort of tech. The idea is to sort of create yield models using satellite based data, using weather data, and so on, and minimize the dependence on the manual crop cutting experiments.
Yes. That has been a very bone of contentions in claim settlement.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. So the idea is to sort of make it more transparent, make it more objective, and of course faster.
Yes. And to add to what you are saying, that government of Karnataka has been very proactive And the central scheme has learned many lessons from government of Karnataka. They have their own portal now. They are trying to integrate
Portal is
into
correct.
national
They've
portal.
done a lot of work to minimize the frauds.
Yes.
I think the spurious enrollment, which was a very big topic a few years back, I think the Karnataka government had taken quite a few steps, which I think other states have also replicated over the years.
Right. And we have seen that central scheme learns a lot of lessons for whatever happens across the country. Gujarat,
Correct.
few things happened in Gujarat. Maharashtra again is a very proactive state when it comes to PMFBY
Absolutely.
implementation. Then something keeps happening in Tamil Nadu as well. Nowadays, Andhra Pradesh is also quite in news for making different kind of grassroots institutions and bringing them into implementation.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So now I come back to the same the question that I
The
asked you about.
future of reinsurance. Sorry for the
Yes.
interruption that was
No
due to the
problem.
power failure. I think data analytics is a big topic. Lot of data is getting generated. As I said, crowdsourcing is another element where farmers themselves are sharing a lot of data sets from their own fields, clicking pictures of their farms and so on. There is a lot of focus on creating weather infrastructure and from state as well as central governments. And so I think there are quite a
Hello. Looks like there is disruption again in the network. Mangesh, we lost you again. Okay, so till Mangesh comes back, Chidambaram sir, I hope you got answer to your question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
in
is
cattle.
time. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So better you type in the chat so that if when Mangesh comes back, we'll save some time.
Okay, I will just type.
Yeah, and about cattle insurance, again, different governments keep on taking different initiatives. So recently, Madhya Pradesh government has taken a very leading role when it comes to cattle insurance. Anyone else? Emmanuel sir has joined the talk. Sir, would you like to add something till Mangesh comes back?
No, thanks. I'm no expert on this subject.
I have seen your post and questions related with insurance. So I'm sure you can add something here.
there are quite a few sort of new sort of avenues of gathering the data, and I think
Ah,
that will definitely pave the way
yes,
for new data analytics related topics.
yes.
Another thing is disaster risk insurance, which is
Mm-hmm.
a very capital intensive business again. And I think there again lies a lot of opportunities because traditionally government of India has been relied on SDRF and NDRF funds, but I think there is a lot of protection gap there. I think insurance companies will eventually depend on the insurance sector to sort of take care of that volatility in the future. Yeah,
Okay. So my next question, quickly, I'm coming to next question because we are approaching
sure.
in time now. So this is for Irmans who are in campus, future Irmans. So what do you say that development professionals who want to engage with insurance, reinsurance, and resilience building as a career? So what your advice would be, and what kind of people will thrive in this space, and how should they prepare for their future career prospects?
Let's look at it a bit broadly. I think reinsurance is just part of the value chain.
Right.
There is a lot of work that is done by development agencies. They have their
Mhm.
own sort of dedicated personnel, dedicated cells to look after the technical support. Uh, like United Nations has this cell in working very closely with government of India to sort of take care of the technical matters around PMABY. Likewise, I think we have GIZ, we have World Bank, etc. These agencies work very closely with insurance and reinsurance companies. So I think it's not that only commercial sector can offer reinsurance related opportunities. I think there are development sector related jobs as well there. Apart from that, as far as insurance company and reinsurance company is concerned, there are a lot of jobs around underwriting, claims, reserving. I think actuarial field is another big topic where I believe a lot of people have been focusing lately.
Right,
So if you
right.
are good in quants, if you are good in stats and so on, I would highly encourage to also explore the actuarial topics, because the actuaries do have a very big role when it comes to insurance and reinsurance business. Apart from that, obviously, you need a lot of people who can understand the public policy aspects, and I think IRMANs could be really the great ones in that. I think
Yes.
the way in which the IRMA coursework is designed, I think they're simply groomed to look at the public policy in a specific fashion. I think that way as well you may have a lot of public policy related roles among insurers, reinsurers, as well as development agencies.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There's a question by Chidambaran sir, role of AI in crop insurance and availability of satellite images.
Yeah, I think the satellite data space itself is emerging. Over the years, I think we have seen quite a few microsatellites, quite a few free satellite data providers, particularly from Europe, coming in, which have sort of appended the data that people like NASA already had on the table. Government of India, again, ISRO has done some tremendous work to provide quite a few data sets uh, in a very easily available fashion uh, for the insurance companies, reinsurance companies, and so on. I think that space is evolving. As I said, I think as that data increases, the use of such data would also increase. Um, when it comes to the use of AI, the Yes Tech initiative that I earlier mentioned, uh, quite a bit depends on the topic of AI. Crunches quite a huge data and tries to come up with a better yield models so that the dependency on the manual crop cutting experiments could be reduced.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that is a kind of, again, like I said, big bone of
Game
contention.
changer. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
creates a lot of problems. So I have just two more questions to ask before that about
Sure.
reinsurance. If anyone has any question or any question anyone wants to ask to Mangesh directly, you are welcome. So meanwhile, if any question comes, then I'll move on to the quickly to the next question. I'm aware of the time that we have consumed 15 minutes base time as well. A small personal question, if you allow me,
Sure.
Mangesh. So I have seen you a
Typical.
very as a, yeah. My personal experience has been that you are a very soft spoken, very cordial, and very nice person. You know, when I talk to students while teaching, and in OB, I also teach OB course here. So when I ask them to follow certain principles of being nice and being human and empathy, then they say this doesn't work in corporate world. So what is your take on this? That being a very nice person working in corporate in a competitive market, how do you see it?
Thanks for your kind words, first of all. I think there is always a risk of being taken advantage of if you are a bit soft spoken.
Yeah.
And at times, I have personally struggled with assertiveness.
Mhm.
People may take it as a signal of weakness.
Mhm.
What matters ultimately is your work and the environment where genuine talent is appreciated. Uh, so I don't think being nice or being soft spoken can be disadvantageous, provided you work hard, you genuinely put efforts. From that regard, I think reinsurers offer an amazing environment They do really appreciate genuine talent, and there is a lot of focus given on developing your core skill set.
Okay.
Things are very structured, very disciplined,
Right.
and there is a bit of a long-term view that is taken. So there is space which is given to the individuals, and I think from that angle, I believe reinsurance companies could be a great sort of environment if you are especially soft-spoken. uh, don't don't try to be a person opposite that. I mean, don't try hard if you are already a soft spoken person. Rather be authentic. I think that would be
Yes.
my
Yes.
suggestion. Acknowledge your strengths, acknowledge your weakness. That's the
Yes.
only way by which you can grow. Growth will come, although it might be a bit steady, bit slow. It's just that you just need to be a bit genuine here.
Yes. Right. So with that, I keep floor open for questions and comments. I saw someone raising hand, but I can't figure
No.
out now.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
I was just appreciating it. I just appreciating.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
That's appreciated.
Any other question? Any questions? It seems there are no questions, or shall I wait? Mangesh, one last question from my side.
Sure.
If, meanwhile, again, I will remind that floor is open for questions. If anyone wants to ask question after my question, you can ask that. So yes. So what are a few high points in your insurance career that has stayed with you so far? That the moments that remind you that the work you do matters, that gives you purpose and hope.
There are quite a few,
Yes,
but
I'm sure.
if you ask me to pick one,
Haha.
uh, we had done this amazing and very innovative sort of product designing somewhere in 2009, 16
Mhm.
years back. This was
Right.
like 7 years before PMABY was launched.
Yes,
Uh,
again, very early in Indian
Correct.
market.
This
Yes.
this project was related to product designing, where
Mm-hmm.
we had to develop a composite index product,
Mm-hmm.
where we had to take rainfall data and we had to take satellite data for the greenness index of the crops.
Right.
Uh, a product might sound very basic if you sort of ask the industry professionals today, but at that point of time, there was no such product in India. And after designing, it was rolled out on a very pilot scale, a very small basis. It paid out because there was mild drought that time. That year was a mild drought year, 2009. Uh, the insurer wanted to have a proper claim distribution ceremony, and they graciously sort of invited me to come there for that event. I sort of also got to sort of distribute one check to one of the farmers, the claim check. I cannot forget that moment ever. I was more happy than the farmer because I was sort of trying to work on this concept of basis risk,
Uh-huh.
was trying to bridge the gap between the actual claim experience vis-a-vis the claim which is paid out to the farmer. And at that point of time, only weather index solutions were present for most of the commercial insurance companies. So this was more like an innovation where we could also look at the greenness of the crop. And from that angle, I felt that at least partly I was successful, although I cannot really comment whether the amount that was paid to the farmer was exactly equivalent to the actual loss of the farmer. But yet I felt that there was, bit of a bridging that happened because of this
Yes.
product. Plus, as an IRMAn, I could actually see the impact of my own action. That product was not reinsured. It was a very small pilot. And that also underscored the need for reinsurance. And that
Right.
whole memory has stayed. Even today, it reminds me of those good days where I was hands-on on the product designing aspect. I think it has really been a very rewarding career so far, as far as insurance/reinsurance is concerned.
Wow. Yes, yes. Yeah, so when we look back to growth of reinsurance India in India, people like you said there 5, 6 people, 7 people in reinsurance. You will be remembered as the pioneers of reinsurance in India, if I'm not wrong, isn't it?
There are quite a few others as well, I would
Yes,
say. Yeah.
yes. Great, great. So with this,
Right.
we come to end of this chat. Um, uh, I guess there are no questions. Any questions? Last call for the question. Okay, so from my side, I would like to close it. Thank you, Mangesh and Krishna and Ritesh sir and IA and Edmund's talk. So over to you, Krishna. And I would also like to thank Chidambaram sir for engaging, asking interesting questions.
Thank you very much, Chidambaram sir, as well, and
Yes,
thank you,
and thank you.
Professor, for
And
being very
everyone who
patient.
Thank
Sorry
attended
you,
for
the
the
thank
session.
far
you,
failure.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Mangesh, you are thanking.
No, thanks for bearing with those power failures in between, and
That's all right.
sorry for the interruption.
No
Thank you very
problem
much.
at all. Yes. So thanks, my heartfelt thanks to artists, thanks to all the audience for being patient. We have overshooted almost by 25 minutes now. So over to you, Krishna. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am and Mangesh sir, for such a wonderful session. As this session now has reached to its closure, I would like to express my gratitude and heartfelt thank you to our speaker Mangesh sir for conducting such a wonderful session on this topic. And it was quite enriching for all of us. And I am sure that those who will be watching it on YouTube will benefit as well. And thank you so
Thank you.
much, Archana ma'am, for moderating this so wonderfully and generating such great insights with your thoughtful questions. And thank you so much to our audience who have been a very integral part of these talks. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we have lost Krishna, it seems. Today is a
Right.
day of network issues. Yes,
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks, Krishna. Thanks, everyone, once again.
So thank you once again. Thanks to all who have.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Happy
you.
weekend to
Yeah.
everyone.
Happy weekend. Bye bye.